It is completely normal for different people to have different opinions about actors, movies, and other forms of entertainment. While some may dislike Brad Pitt or think Kate Beckinsale is ugly. Similarly, some may find Paul Thomas Anderson's film stupid, but that's okay. It's difficult to please everyone. However, in the late 80s, there was a Hollywood figure who was able to win over almost everyone, despite the fact that he lacked acting ability and portrayed himself in all of his movies as just another popular actor.
Please welcome Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves' career could have easily come to an end multiple times, but through a series of fortuitous events, he managed to stay afloat. His tendency to take on unconventional projects that other actors rejected sometimes hurt him, but other times it propelled him to greater heights. Despite having a controversial career trajectory, Reeves surpassed the realm of conventional Hollywood stardom to become a cultural phenomenon of our time. Today, we will explore how he accomplished this feat and why it happened.
Hit me.
In the mid-1980s, Keanu Reeves made his debut on the silver screen, appearing in numerous films in background roles as well as smaller roles. However, his breakthrough moment came in 1989 with the release of several successful films, such as Dangerous Liaisons and Parenthood, in which Reeves played supporting roles. The biggest hit of that year for Reeves was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which was supposed to be released a year earlier by Dino De Laurentiis' company but was delayed due to bankruptcy. The movie itself could have been very different. The plot was originally based on classic John Hughes comedies, and the main characters were supposed to be 14-year-old nerds. The film's director, Stephen Herek, pushed for a more risque storyline and different characters, leading Reeves to land a role in the movie. Although Bill and Ted was critically panned upon release, it resonated strongly with the teenage audience and became a symbol of the generation and pop culture. The film made $40 million at the box office and led to a sequel being produced. Despite receiving negative reviews from critics who called it stupid, boring, and criticized the dialogue, teenagers flocked to watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and propelled it to success. This film's success opened the doors for Keanu Reeves to take on more prominent roles in the years that followed. While it may have been easy for Reeves' career to end after such a controversial film, it actually enabled him to become a cultural icon and establish himself as a phenomenon of our time. The unique approach and style of the film connected with audiences and turned Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure into a defining moment in Reeves' career. As a result, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure made $40 million at the box office on a budget of $10 million, and Orion Studios came out in the big plus since the rights to the film were bought for only $2 million. A sequel was immediately put into production. Keanu Reeves' career was shaped by the sheer number of roles he took on, transitioning from television films to feature films that were exclusively released in cinemas. While some of his films were successful and others were box office flops, Reeves consistently received recognition for his performances, even in films that didn't perform well at the box office, such as My Own Private Idaho. In 1991, Reeves appeared in 5 films, one of which was Point Break, considered to be the film that established him as a Hollywood superstar. Interestingly, Reeves nearly didn't land the role of Johnny Utah in Point Break, which was originally meant for Matthew Broderick. Broderick declined the role, dismissing the film as stupid and unpromising. However, Kathryn Bigelow, the director of the film, brought in her husband James Cameron as executive producer, and the two of them made significant changes to the script that transformed it into a masterpiece. It is rumored that Cameron also directed some of the film's iconic action scenes. Reeves' sheer volume of work and ability to take on diverse roles played a key role in his career's success. From his early beginnings in TV movies to his breakout performance in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, leading up to his turn as an action hero, Reeves proved his versatility and solidified his position as a Hollywood icon. Point Break was released during a challenging period when Terminator 2 was dominating the box office, and other films, including Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and Boys in the Hood, were competing for attention. The decision to release 2 movies featuring the same actor at once was a risky move, and it may have contributed to the film's sluggish box office opening. However, Point Break eventually garnered widespread acclaim and proved to be an enormous success, grossing $83 million on its $24 million budget. In 1992, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula was released and was both a commercial and critical success. The idea for the film was suggested to Coppola by Winona Ryder, and she was given the opportunity to choose the actors for the leading roles. Ryder recommended Keanu Reeves, and despite initial reservations from Coppola, he eventually agreed with the actress's suggestion. However, Coppola later criticized his decision and was unhappy with Reeves's performance, but he needed a young and recognizable actor. In 1993, Reeves experienced a career setback when Bernardo Bertolucci's film Little Buddha received a negative response from critics. Reeves was singled out for criticism, with many reviewers stating that he was unsuitable for the role. In 1994, Keanu Reeves's career was revived by the unexpected success of Speed. Despite being turned down by main stars of the time, including Bruce Willis, Tom Cruise, Jeff Bridges, Tom Hanks, and even Johnny Depp, the film finally got its chance when cameraman Jan de Bont was appointed as director for his directorial debut. Despite initially struggling to find actors and a director, Speed ultimately became a massive hit at both the US and worldwide box offices. De Bont's experience as a cameraman on action films like Die Hard and Lethal Weapon 3 proved invaluable, and he was able to transform himself into an incredibly talented director. Reeves was initially reluctant to take the role but was ultimately won over by the director's vision for the film and the popularity of the action film genre at the time. Following the success of Speed, Reeves's career took off, and he received numerous offers from producers eager to cast him in their films. In the mid-90s, Keanu Reeves could have played it safe with a role in Michael Mann's Heat or risked it all with a questionable film based on a $1 Million Chamber noir cyberpunk novel by William Gibson titled Johnny Mnemonic. While Mnemonic was originally intended to be a very different type of film, the success of Speed forced producers to pump another $25 million into the project in an attempt to match the star power of Reeves. Unfortunately, constant interference from the studio during reshoots led to a poorly edited movie that failed to impress audiences. The film's box office earnings totaled a disappointing $19 million, prompting the director's immediate departure and William Gibson's book-to-film adaptations to be shelved indefinitely. Despite a nomination for a Golden Raspberry, Keanu managed to survive the flop. Years later, however, Johnny Mnemonic achieved cult status among a selective audience, and its IMDb scores increased from 4 to 6. Following the box office failure of Johnny Mnemonic, Keanu Reeves hoped to redeem himself with the melodrama A Walk in the Clouds, which was released just 4 months after the former. Despite having a budget of just $20 million, the movie grossed $95 million worldwide, providing some relief for the actor. Keanu relaxed and immediately got chain reaction. However, Keanu Reeves had a bad hockey game before filming began due to a neck injury he couldn't actively move, and his character wears a scarf all the time because of it. Because of the ban on physical activity, Reeves gained excess weight, due to which he was criticized in those ancient, dark times. Though there were no reported reshoots, the movie suffered in the editing process, resulting in several important scenes being cut. This was evidenced by actor Nick Offerman's surprise when he realized his character had been completely removed from the film at the premiere. Unfortunately, Chain Reaction struggled to maintain its momentum at the box office, ultimately earning just $62 million on a budget of $50 million. In 1997, The Devil's Advocate was released, saving Keanu Reeves' career from yet another failure. Originally envisioned as a Michael Bay-style blockbuster, no one wanted to star in such an action-packed film, and Al Pacino refused the leading role after reading the script. After the script was rewritten as a drama, Reeves took an interest and even personally convinced Pacino to return to the project. He had already run to Al Pacino's house, and with some rumors that he personally persuaded Pacino to return to the role. Since the film's original budget was slashed, Reeves reduced his own fee by $3 million to ensure Pacino could be paid. The Devil's Advocate was a box office hit, grossing $152 million on a budget of $57 million, securing Reeves' status in Hollywood. Moreover, the movie allowed him to avoid starring in the sequel to Speed, which ultimately flopped, potentially causing further damage to the actor's career. The early 2000s were a career-defining period for Keanu Reeves, thanks to his role in The Matrix. Initially, the main contenders for the role of Neo were Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt, but they both turned down the offer, which then went to Will Smith. Sean Connery was originally intended to play Morpheus, but he also passed on the project due to confusion over the script. The Wachowski brothers were then forced to rewrite the script to clarify the concept of The Matrix, and while they were doing so, both Nicolas Cage and Russell Crowe passed on the opportunity to star in the film. And Keanu Reeves decided once again to take a risk, and he didn't miss. The Matrix blew up the movie world. Everyone and everywhere was talking about it. The Matrix earned $463 million at the box office on a budget of $63 million, and 2 sequels went into production immediately, which came out in 2003 with 6 months' break. This is also associated with the financial failure of the third part. If The Matrix Reloaded made $750 million on a budget of $200, The Matrix Revolutions made only $427 with the same budget. It was after The Matrix Double Kick, Hollywood held an unspoken rule to take a break of at least 1 year between the 2 parts of the franchise. Although viewer ratings and critical reviews hint that the third part turned out to be crap. Years after The Matrix, Keanu Reeves starred in The Watcher, a film he was tricked into accepting. Originally intended to be a small-budget film directed by Joe Charbanek, who was Keanu's friend. Reeves agreed to a cameo appearance to help his friend raise funds. However, when producers saw Reeves' name on the cast list, they threw $50 million in movie and drafted a contract, which Keanu signed without reading. This led to a much larger role than initially intended, and Reeves later claimed his signature was forged. Faced with the threat of hefty fines, he agreed to complete the film, ultimately earning only $1 million for his work. The film performed poorly at the box office, earning Reeves another Golden Raspberry nomination, and spelled the end of his friend's career. Keanu managed to star in a bunch of suspicious projects between shooting The Matrix and pulling in a few more Golden Raspberry nominations. Hardball and Sweet November did poorly at the box office. A relative success during this period was Sam Raimi's The Gift, in which Reeves had a supporting role. Keanu Reeves' role in Constantine was the result of a series of unfortunate events. Originally, the film was set to be directed by Tarsem Singh, with Nicholas Coppola in the lead role. However, Tarsem dropped out due to creative differences, and Nicholas left with him. The second version is based on Cage's greed. The producers began to ask the actor to reduce his fee from $20 million to $10 million. Nicholas could not take such an abuse. He was immediately replaced by Keanu, who agreed to shoot for only $7 million. Reeves subsequently stepped in for a reduced fee and signed on for the role, despite criticism from fans of the original comic book adaptation. In the comics, Constantine was described as an Englishman from Liverpool, looking like the singer Sting, and in the film, Constantine became an American from Los Angeles, looking like Keanu Reeves, which further enraged some fans. Subpar special effects and a tight budget also contributed to the movie's disappointing box office earnings of $230 million on a budget of $100 million. The planned sequel was shelved, but Constantine developed a cult following after its release on DVD. Constantine developed a loyal following over time, leading to rumors of a sequel. In 2014, a TV series adaptation was attempted featuring Matt Ryan in the lead role, but it was canceled after 1 season due to fan backlash and poor critical reception. Some fans of the comics felt that Ryan's portrayal of Constantine adhered more to the original character description, but others were still attached to Keanu Reeves' portrayal in the film. Additionally, the pilot episode was criticized heavily online and led to calls for a boycott of the series. Despite efforts by the studio to correct these issues quickly, viewership for the series remained low. However, a few years after the failed TV series, a direct sequel to the original film starring Keanu Reeves was announced and began filming in 2021. It remains to be seen if the sequel will meet the expectations of fans or not. Keanu Reeves experienced a sharp decline in his career as most of his subsequent films proved to be commercial failures. Only The Street Kings, directed by David Ayer, managed to achieve modest success, with a budget of $20 million bringing in $65. A Scanner Darkly, Pippa Lee's Private Life, Henry's Crime, The Day the Earth Stood Still, The Lake House, 47 Ronin, and Man of Tai Chi all failed to meet box office expectations. Man of Tai Chi was Keanu's directorial debut, but it received negative reviews and did not perform well at the box office. Keanu also signed on for a number of small-budget and questionable films that did not see theatrical releases, including Exposed, which was shelved for several years before being released to poor critical reception. Despite these setbacks, Keanu is often hailed for his kindness and humility, which is rare in Hollywood. Some of his other works, such as the movies Knock Knock, The Whole Truth, The Bad Batch, and Deep Web, did not receive wide theatrical releases. Most likely Keanu would have hit Bruce Willis movies in the long run or now Mel Gibson movies, who replaced Bruce in the Bruce Willis movies. But at the very end of 2014, John Wick shot up.
That fucking nobody is John Wick.
The film's original script suggested an older actor in the titular role. The writers were going to cast some kind of combat pensioner in the production. However, producer Basil Ivanek offered to change the age of John Wick and just take the main role of the actor to the original toughness, of which will not be an issue, and do not have to explain why this particular pensioner can spread his bare hands a dozen trained thugs. Keanu was not a star actor anymore, so the movie somehow managed to raise $20 million budget. Because of budgetary constraints, most of Keanu Reeves' opponents were played by the same stuntman. At the box office, John Wick made $86 million, and Keanu suddenly had a lifeline. Plus, the internet remembered the actor, and he quickly became one of the main symbols of the web. Although Reeves has not been able to produce any other successful films since then, with John Wick doing great, the third film took in $326 million at the box office on a budget of $55, and the fourth part went above all expectations at the box office. John Wick 4 confidently lasted at the box office for almost 2 months, earning positive reviews from critics and audiences alike. Not so long ago, Keanu could have had another hit. The Matrix returned to the big screens, but it returned only to become one of the main failures of the year. With a budget of $190 million, they managed to collect only $157. Also, not to mention the appearance of Keanu in the video game Cyberpunk 2077. The fashion for live actors in video games appeared quite a long time ago. You may recall the hilarious splash screens from C&C, but the development of capture technology, more and more star actors began to give their images to computer characters. You might think of the acclaimed Death Stranding. Keanu also decided to try something new, and judging by the response of the fans of the game, the attempt came out to be successful.
Is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking!
In any case, so far Keanu himself is doing quite well. As noted, in the future, he should get a sequel to Constantine. Also, the actor is working on a film based on his own comic book Bjorskar, and enjoys a visit to the cartoons about SpongeBob. Stay in touch and subscribe to the channel.